It's time, folks. It's time. But what is it time for? It's time to harvest our horseradish. That's right. I've been growing horseradish since early April when we got a small little rhizome from a local nursery. I threw it in the ground without much expectations, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I wanted to try it because I always like trying new things as a gardener. I always want to show you all what's possible, and I always want to kind of be increasing my gardening resume. And so horseradish was something that a lot of you asked me to grow, and I wanted to see how it grew and apply some tips from some local farmers that I picked up so that maybe next year I could do a complete growing guide. Without knowing how to grow it and if I could grow it successfully, there was no way I was ever going to do a complete growing guide on it because that would be foolish and it would be potentially misleading you. So this was my experimental year, and all of you have seen it grow and kind of seen some of the things that can come from the horseradish plant. Now, I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know what's below the soil. I do know that it takes a very long time to mature. I know that these plants have to be planted in early spring and have to be pulled up around the first frost. So they take generally about 110 to 140 days to completely mature. Now they can go longer than that, and in warmer climates they often do. But here in Michigan, we had our first frost last night, and so, well, our second frost if you don't count the first kind of freak one that happened in like the middle of September, which we don't talk about that. It's been completely normal other than that completely abnormal event. But this plant survived the first frost. Now we are getting into our actual frost schedule. We had our first frost last night. It was kind of mild. And what we're seeing is that a lot of the foliage is starting to curl. It's starting to get smaller, and it's starting to actually lose its shape. Now, what you want to look for when it's time to harvest horseradish is you want to look for its shape. This is how you know that your horseradish is ready to harvest. When your horseradish goes from producing these large leaves to producing these leaves, you know it's ready. Or at least that's what I've been told from all the farmers in the area. And so that's what you want to look for. Also, they said to smell the air. They said after your first frost, you're going to start smelling a very distinct horseradish smell. And what was weird is I didn't even really plan on doing this video today. I was actually doing some other chores in the garden, and the wind picked up and I smelt horseradish. Literally from across the garden, I smelt like horseradish. It smelled like a peppery, kind of a parsnip meets wasabi smell. I don't really know. It's just a very interesting smell, but it's so incredible how potent it is. And I don't know why this is, but farmers have said that when horseradish is ready to harvest, you can smell it. And so maybe it's like kind of like sniffing the flower end of a cantaloupe. You know, if the cantaloupe smells like cantaloupe, it's ready, it's ripe. So I guess this is what we're doing today. So very excited about it. I don't know what we're gonna get. I don't know what we're gonna get ourselves into, but that's the fun of gardening, is the adventure. So coming in close, let's get this thing harvested. Let's see what we got, and let's see what 120, 140 days has done for us. Now, I will say it's going to be very nice to get this plant out of the garden because I actually, believe it or not, I had some asparagus that I planted here. I did not realize how large this plant would get. And a lot of people said, give it space, give it space. I gave it plenty of space, but apparently I didn't give it enough plenty of space because this thing was a space hog. This thing took up about, I'd say 4 feet by 4 feet, a giant circle. I mean, this thing was just absolutely massive. So noted for next year. If it's worth growing and we get a lot out of it and I want to put it in the garden next year, just give it a ton of space. So with that being said, let's get a shovel and let's see what we got. All right, so before we get a shovel and dig it out, I kind of want to maybe see if I can just pull it out. I don't know if that's going to happen. That might be wishful thinking, and all of you that have grown horseradish might be laughing at me, but I just don't know how far the roots go out, and I don't want to cut it with a shovel and then ruin it. So I'd rather try to pull it out first because I don't know how rooted this thing is going to be. Now, they did say that you can remove a lot of the foliage to help you, but well, let's just go for it, you know? Let's see what happens. Now, oh gosh. Oh man. I might need to get a shovel. I can see why a lot of people might be laughing at me. This, if you've ever grown horseradish before, this thing is she's rooted. All right, give it one more shot. Okay, yep, I'm gonna get a shovel. Okay, I never would have pulled that up. Holy smokes. This thing is, oh goodness. Wow. Oh, geez, oh Pete, this thing is super rooted in here. Oh, wow. I definitely see I already ruined some roots here. I cut some roots as I'm digging this thing up. Oh gosh. Wow. So I've clearly never grown horseradish before, and it obviously shows with, MI Gardener's amateur hour here. But man, I'm giving it all I got. This thing is not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you. Holy smokes. I can't even, this is ridiculous. I've dug on all sides of this thing and it just refuses to come up. But I put it in some of the best quality soil you could have put it in. And the roots are thicker than thick. My gosh, there we go. Wow. So as you can see, we've got some really good roots here. Some really good roots. Some really good earthworms. Some good crawlers. Look at this soil. Wow, you guys. Look at the soil quality. My gosh. This is incredible. So these are the rhizomes. This is what you'd use. This thing looks like a giant octopus. But this is what you're harvesting, are these. Now this thing has just a absolute beast of a root system. But this is what you're harvesting from horseradish, is just these little rhizomes right here. Now I did cut a lot of them, as you can see. I should have dug out much further from the plant, but maybe there's a better way for me to do this too. There's always a better way, but you learn through experience, right? But yeah, so these are the little rhizomes, and I obviously cut literally every single one of them, but I planted it in a raised bed, and so I kind of was limited on the space that I could dig. But honestly, I mean, from what I've seen in the store, obviously they do get a lot bigger than this, but I mean, same type stuff, only it's homegrown. It's just, wow, it's incredible, honestly, really incredible. I don't know how small you can go before it becomes not worth it, but I imagine, I think this is probably fine, and I know that, so I've heard that these rhizomes, you can save your own rhizomes and grow them again. This would be like a rhizome that you'd save because it has the new growth and the original root system. So you'd use this like a starter for next year. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'll have to do some research, and obviously I'll bring you guys along if I decide to do that. But like I said, it's all an adventure this year. But I definitely think we're getting a good haul. I'm just going to pick all of these here, and we'll see how we do. I'm sure I'm going to forget some. I'm sure I'm not forget, but I'm sure I'm going to leave some in the soil just because I don't know. It's not like a potato where you can really see, where they're at. It's just kind of like find a root and pull at it type thing. So I think we're going to be good because I don't want to damage. The thing I don't want to do is I do not want to damage the surrounding asparagus. So I don't want to dig out too far. And again, that was a lesson learned because I would not have planted a plant so big next to, young asparagus seedlings so small. Mistake, obviously, won't make next year, but I think we're going to be good. I think that's all I'm going to grab for right now. Whatever's left in the soil, if it comes up next year or whatever, I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll leave it in the soil to just let happen what's gonna happen. So I don't know how we did, honestly. I'm not really sure. I think we did pretty good, but you let me know. I'm sure a lot of you have grown horseradish before, and if you have, let me know how I did. I don't know what the weight on this is. I would say probably, if I was guessing, maybe 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds. Not a whole lot, but again, I mean, just from one plant, you know, I don't know how much more you can really ask for since you're harvesting basically the root system. It's not like potatoes where they form tubers, you know, you're literally harvesting just these carrots basically. So, I mean, to get 2.5, 3 pounds of these, you know, root fibers from a plant, I think that's pretty good. In fact, I think that makes a really good thumbnail. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see a complete growing guide, I will tell you everything that I did next year. I'll schedule this video for next year. I'll get a plant, I'll get a rhizome from our local greenhouse and garden center where I got the other one. And I will try my hand at growing it using all of the tips and information that I used this year to grow from local farmers, like I said. And I'll share with you what I did. But if you don't want to see it, that's fine too. Just let me know. But I thank you all for tuning in. I thank you all for liking this video, and hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully this inspired you to try growing something new. You know, you're always going out on a limb, and especially when you're limited on space. I know how it is. We have a pretty big garden, and so we have a little bit more freedom to try interesting things like horseradish. But I know a lot of you don't have a big garden, and a lot of you don't have the space, or maybe you don't have the money to dedicate to just throwing away 8 square feet of your garden space on a plant that might never do anything. And I get that. I totally understand that. But I would encourage you to use this as an example. You know, maybe not try horseradish. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And in fact, I don't know many people that like horseradish. I enjoy it, but I don't know many people that like it. And so, you know, I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea. So don't necessarily, you know, force yourself to try horseradish, but try something new. Just try something new to expand your gardening resume, learn something from your garden, and push yourself as a gardener to grow something that might help you grow big or go home in other ways. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MI Gardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. And I'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.